I'm just going to call him Dick because he was a dick for what he did. Hello, my chat partners. Welcome back to another video. If you are new here, my name is Dionne. Please subscribe to my channel, and to my returning chat partners, I really appreciate you guys' support. So my chat partners, today's video is going to be a movies and shows to chat about. This is a documentary that I just watched, and the name of the documentary is called Cold-Blooded: The Clutter Family Murder. I'm going to bring you guys my drink of choice. Guys, to be honest, I got me some wine in this. I got me some wine, and I got me some water. Because like I said, after you watch that documentary, you're going to need a drink, and I sure need one. This documentary is about the murder of the Clutter family. And the murder of the Clutter family was in Kansas, November 15th, 1959. And the members of the Clutter family that was murdered was the father, which is Herb Clutter. He was 48 years old. His wife, Bonnie Clutter, she was 45 years old. Their daughter, Nancy, she was 16. And their son, Kenyon, he was 15. The Clutter family also has two other daughters, Beverly and Ivana. Beverly was 21, and Ivana, I'm not sure if I'm saying her name right, she was 23. They actually had moved out of the house, living in a home at the time. As Herb Clutter was a farmer in Kansas, and he owned like maybe 640 acres of land. So what happened was, on the morning of November 15th, 1959, the Clutter family friends had went to their house because they always meet at their house to go to church together. So that morning when they got there, it was like maybe around 9 o'clock or so. They said they got there, they rang the doorbell, didn't nobody answer the door. They were saying how the car was in the garage, and everything looked in place from what they could see from the outside. So what they did was they went to another family friend house. They went there and they ended up calling the Clutter family, but no one answered the phone. So they decided to go to the house, and back then in 1959, and like the neighbor leave their doors unlocked and just felt safe. And they went inside and they was calling out to the people, calling out to Nancy, calling out to her mom, and when nobody answered, they went upstairs and they found one of the family members deceased in their beds. And they ran out the house and called the police. The Clutter family was found, each person was found with a gunshot wound to the head with a shotgun, y'all. And Bonnie Clutter was found in her and her husband's bedroom. Nancy Clutter was found in her bedroom. Her father Herb and her brother Kenyon was both found in the basement, but they was found in two different rooms. The father sustained, his throat was slit and a gunshot wound to the head. And this was a shotgun. This wasn't a regular gun. This was a shotgun. The son had a shotgun wound to the head, the mother and the sister. It just really sticks with you because it's like a shotgun. Like a shotgun would do damage to a person, like just total destruction. Why would somebody come and do this to this family? The whole area was in shock, and everyone was scared because they just didn't feel safe. And just by looking at these people, and these people are old because this happened in 1959. These people are older, like in they, 50s, 60s, probably, maybe 70s, I don't know. But you can just tell that it really stuck with them, and it's just by the way they talk, because it was one couple that was talking about Kenyon, because one guy, him and Kenyon was friends, and he was saying like a couple of days before Kenyon got killed, they had went hunting in the woods. And then the cousin Diane, she ended up reading letters that her cousin Nancy would write her, because like during the summers and stuff, or just any time, they would just send each other letters, and it really hurt her that this happened to her. And that was friends with the son, Ken, never talked about it. Even his wife would say he never talked about it around the house ever. And the boyfriend of Nancy, his name was Bobby. And the thing with Bobby, and you can hear the hurt in that man's voice, even though this was in 1959. Bobby had stated that him and Nancy was supposed to have went to the late movies that Saturday night, because he said he was at their house watching TV with her, and he left about 10. And he was supposed to, him and Nancy was supposed to go to the late night movie that Saturday night, but she told him, let's go Friday night. And he said they went to the movies that Friday night, and he said he often think about how their lives would have changed if him and Nancy had actually went to the movies that Saturday night and not that Friday night. And it does make you think, because who knows what time the people came into the home that killed them, that maybe she wouldn't have been home at the time, or maybe they would have got there when the people was there. Who knows? You just never know. And it's like that what if, you know what I mean? And it just sticks with you. Just listen to those people talk, like the hurt and the pain. So come to find out, when the investigators and everybody was there, it was actually one man who came there. He took a picture, and beside the father, it was a bloody footprint, and it was like of a boot. And also when he took the picture, the flash picked up the dust, and they can see that it was another footprint as well, but it was a different shoe. So they let them know that two people was in there. Now, to the naked eye, they wouldn't have been able to see that second footprint, but by him taking that picture, it was a second footprint by the bloody footprint. They noticed that the only thing that was missing was a radio and a pair of binoculars. That was all that was missing from the house. And going back to the boyfriend Bobby, since he was the last one to see the family alive, they questioned him. Investigated that they had leading the case to investigate everything was this man named Al Dewey. He was like real popular because he was a really, really good investigator. They stated that within 30 minutes of him talking to Bobby, he knew that that young man didn't have anything to do with the murders. He even passed a polygraph test, and things got so bad for Bobby, he ended up transferring schools. The family was killed on November 15, 1959, and the funeral was November 18, 1959. And they said it was over 1,000 people in attendance, and it was closed casket. However, Bobby stated that he was able to go to the funeral home before service took place, and he was able to say goodbye to Nancy and her family. Once the family was buried and everything, it was just so much commotion and just so much going on, because they really was trying to find out like who killed this. Great people, great kids, a great family. They went to church. They was just awesome. Why would someone do this to this family? So what they ended up doing was they ended up putting a $1,000 reward out there for anyone that had any information regarding the murders of the Clutter family. Okay, guys, so this is where it gets interesting. So during the documentary, they actually talk about the killers. And the two killers were Perry Smith and Richard Dick Hitchcock. I think that's how you say his name. I'm just going to call him Dick because he was a dick for what he did. Put a $1,000 reward in the paper and put it out there. They had got like 250 tips. One of the tips that they got was from an inmate named Floyd Wells. Floyd Wells and Dick Richard were cellmates. And Floyd used to work on the Clutter farm. And he was telling Dick one day about how Mr. Clutter, I think it was when he got his house built or something, he had bought like some lumber and he paid like $10,000 for it. And Mr. Clutter just kind of said, yeah, I had to pay like $10,000 for some lumber. And the man was like, you paid it in cash? He was like, nah, I didn't pay it in cash. He was like basically telling Richard, I'm gonna just say Richard because Dick, he was basically telling Richard that he know Mr. Clutter had to have a safe in his house. Richard was going to be paroled in a couple of days. And he was like, shoot, I need some money. I'm gonna make a trip that goes to this Mr. Clutter house to get this money. So it happened, him and Perry knew each other. Perry was getting paroled too, so he basically told him like, I know somewhere we can get some money. Perry and Richard drove to the Clutter house looking for money. And Mr. Clutter, like I said, this was in 1959, so back then they would leave their doors open, unlocked. So his office door was unlocked and they went in the house through the office. You watch this documentary, you're going to hear recording of Richard and both Perry talking about what happened that night, what they did, what part they played in, and everything. And they're going to talk about how when they got to the Clutter house and how they asked the father for a safe, and he kept saying, I don't have a safe, I don't have a safe, I don't have money in the house, I don't have money in the house. And that the wife was saying, my husband doesn't have any money in his house, he just told you they wouldn't have any money in his house. They took her purse, and I think they got maybe $50 out of her pocketbook. Like I told you guys before, they only stole binoculars and a radio. And they just, you just have to watch this documentary because they basically go over like how they killed him, how they like slit his throat, and then how the other one guy slit his throat first, and then the other one, he was like, well, you got to do something now too, so he cut his throat too. And then they shot him in the head, and talking about, I guess it was dark in the basement when he shot him in the head. Just how gruesome it was. And he went in detail what happened when he killed the father. And Come to find out, Perry was in the military. Like, this documentary goes in details as far as like Perry and Richard, like about them growing up, about how Richard, when he was 19, he was driving, and I don't know if it was raining or something outside. I don't know. Somehow he lost control of the car and got ejected from the car, and he was like in a puddle of water or something, face down, and the driver that was behind him stopped and got him out, and something about how he had like these severe head injuries. And so many people was talking about how he never was the same after he had his car accident, and he'd been married twice, and his wife was talking about how he was. But then they were saying, you know, when he was younger, he had an attitude. He was known as a thief and a con man. And Perry, he had a bad childhood growing up. Evidently, he went to an orphanage or went somewhere and was getting abused there. And one of the nuns hit him in his private area. I don't know, but hit him with something. And he said he still had the scar on his penis because she almost severed it. And just all this stuff that was going on with them. But still, that don't make it that y'all had to kill these people. Because the way I look at everything is like, y'all had a choice. Listening to the people in the town that was talking about the family and the friends and the family members, like the cousin and them, it was senseless. It was senseless. And these men were young themselves. I don't even know if they was in their 30s. If they was in their 30s, they might have been in their 30s. I don't know how old they were. Thing about it too, they had a choice, because if you keep asking this man where the safe at, I'm sure if that man had a safe, he would have told them if he had money, who would have gave him money. I'm sure that he wouldn't have just been like, no, I don't got no money, I don't have no money. I feel like he would have, anybody would give you the money because it ain't even worth it, you know. And they were saying how Perry was saying how he didn't want to go through with it, and the guy Richard was like, well, we not leaving no witnesses, so if somebody can identify us. And it was just a bunch of mess. And my whole thing is, they had time because you killed the father. Like, you slit his throat. Why did y'all have to shoot him in the head with a shotgun? Like, what was the point of that? Then you're going to go to another room, kill the son. Then go up the steps from the basement. They go up some more steps to the bedrooms. Then kill the wife in her room. Then kill the daughter. How cold-hearted could you be? Because after you killed one person, you still had time to think about, oh, I'm finna go in another room. And the thought of what was going on in them people's heads, hearing them gunshot wounds, like, that was straight torture. And it was so sad because the people were saying how they didn't feel safe no more in their community. Basically, this one guy that they interviewed, he was saying dad owned a hardware store, and his dad hardware store and other hardware stores around the surrounding area were sold out of locks because people was locking their doors, buying extra locks because they were so scared. They took that joy and that peace of mind from people knowing that won't nobody come in their home. They was just really thinking that they was gonna get this $10,000, so that's why they killed them. And they end up leaving with some binoculars and a radio. Nothing. And what they ended up doing was they ended up driving like 1,700 miles to Mexico. Richard, he ended up selling his Chevrolet. They ended up selling the radio and the binocular back to Kansas for some reason. I don't even remember what was the reason why they went back to Kansas. Since they had the tip from the guy, the Floyd, what was his name again? Yeah, since they had the tip from Floyd Wells, I think they ended up going to Richard's mother's house. And I think they went in a room and they found the bloody shirt and they found the shotgun. And a lot of people had shotguns back then. There was Perry's Army mate. He was looking in a magazine and it was like something about the Kansas killer, and he saw Perry's picture and he was like, what in the world? Like, he killed like he did that. So what he did was he felt like he needed to reach out to Perry, and he wrote him a letter. And when he wrote Perry a letter, because Perry, okay, now mind you, let me go back, because they ended up getting arrested because I think it was Richard. He wrote a check somewhere, and they was able to trace him from the check and from the stolen check, and they ended up finding them and they got arrested. And he ended up writing Perry a letter. His lawyer ended up reaching out to him and was asking could he be a witness or whatever, or just speak on his behalf. And when they met up, Perry told him about what happened, and he told him everything that happened. And he was telling him how he really didn't want to hurt anybody. He was telling him how Richard had really kind of pissed him off, and was telling him basically step by step, like everything that happened. And he was saying, like, when he shot when he slit his throat, he was telling what he did with the father when he slit his throat, and then he was telling about how when he shot the dad, what happened, the gruesome of what he saw from the blue light, because they was in the basement, it was dark, but when he shot him, he was able to see, and he explained that. And I'm not gonna repeat what he said, but I don't want to repeat it. However, his friend, he told him that disturbing, and then how the son, he was like he couldn't see what his son was, but he shot him from the side, and just, it's like you shoot these people with shotguns, like shotguns will destroy a person. And just saying all this stuff, and just saying how basically Richard wanted to go there to mess with the daughter or something, because it was something about, they said Richard had messed with young girls back in the day. And he kept him from messing with the daughter Nancy. I don't know if he messed with her or not. I don't know. Like, this man keep telling you he don't have any money. They saying they don't have no money here, this and that. And they kind of got in an argument. And basically he was saying when he cut the dad's throat, he was thinking about Richard. But I'm like, what he got to do? It was just a mess. This documentary goes on to talk about their trial, talk about what happened when they got sentenced, male jury, and they ended up getting the death penalty, and they ended up dying. I think it was 3 months afterwards they got arrested. It was hung to death, or hanged, or however you say it. And it was really disturbing, guys. It was really disturbing. And they was just talking about the trial, how they kept writing these letters. The guy Perry had actually called somebody and told him, because he looked at this medical book and basically was like, this is what happens when you get hung to death. Like, this is what happens to your body and what you go through. And it was just really, really a sad situation. And then they show where they're buried at, and how this man, he's been working at the cemetery that they're buried at, and he was saying how people come and be like, so many people come visit the graves. He'd be like, you would think they would want to visit the Clutter family grave. It happened where this man had reached out and was like, wanted to get their bodies, zoomed, what you call it, in-zoomed, or dug up. I can't even think of the word. I don't even know if I'm saying it right. And they was trying to figure out if Richard and Perry was actually, another family had got killed in Florida, and it was the Walker family. And it was a man and wife, and they had like young children. I think their kids was like 3 and 2 and 3. Their family got murdered in November in Florida. And they actually said that they actually went to Florida, Richard and Perry. And what they did was they dug their bodies up and tried to do DNA, but it was inconclusive. And the man was like, of course it's inconclusive. That was like over 50 years ago, and these men are buried in, like, I don't know what he said, cement. I don't know, whatever they buried in, and that stuff is, everything's just decomposed, or whatever's going on in that. And also the documentary just shows about how it was a man who wrote a book called, it was so much rave about the book and this and that, and the man became real popular from it. Like, it was the best thing he ever did, but then it was one of the worst things he ended up doing a movie about the murder. It's one of those murders that just won't go away. People will always talk about the Clutter family, and it's just sad. It's just sad all around, because like I said, you can just tell the people that actually did do the interview that it bothers them to this day, and that was in 59. And you can tell it really bothered the cousin, because they gotta be hard growing up, and when you a child or a teenager and you lose a family member like that. Why was somebody murdered? And the lady was saying how her family never talked about it. And Dionne, her mother and Herb, the dad, they was brothers and sisters, and she was talking about how he was her mother's favorite brother, and they was just so close. And she was saying that Sunday she had got, I think it was knock on, she had went somewhere, and her parents were somewhere else. They wasn't at home at the time. And she was saying how got a knock on the door, and it was from her neighbor, and they gave her a letter. And she said she opened it, she looked at it, and it said the Clutter family was murdered, called this phone number. So she said she called the number, and it was a detective telling her that the family had been murdered. And she was saying, she was thinking to herself, how can I tell my mom that her brother and his family was killed? And it was just sad. It was just sad, just to think of that poor family and what they went through, and just sad. It was just sad, and and they showed the boyfriend Bobby. He's, you know, they had ended up getting a memorial, and it's like a memorial. It's like a stone with some words and a lot of flowers, and he keeps it. He upkeeps it, keeps it clean and everything. He was saying that he wants it when he's gone, that someone would keep the memorial going, keep it up. And he was like, if like a tornado came through, that stone would still be there. It's some type of stone that can't be moved, and he just keeps it clean, keeps the flowers nice around the area, and you can just tell that has to be something that you and your girlfriend was going to go out on Saturday, but y'all decided to go Friday, and you was at their house to 10, and you left, and you know her and her family got killed, and the way they got killed, and then for them to get shot with a shotgun in their head, and for him to say he said goodbye, and their casket was open, and for him to see that man probably never been right since then, you know, and just to her daughters to lose your parents and your younger siblings, that gotta be, yeah, torture. That gotta be just the unthinkable, just say it, you know, you planning your wedding and your parents, like your whole family get killed, and your kids and them ain't gonna never get to see their grandparents, and your parents ain't gonna never get to see your kids or their aunt, uncle, and these people was in their 40s, and the son was 15 and the daughter was 6, children, you know, and it was just sad. And then they actually showed this guy, his name was Jewel, and he was saying that when he was little, his brother would always protect him because his dad didn't like him. And he was like, his dad was beating on him and all this kind of stuff. And he was like, Dad just don't like me. Dad just don't like me. And his brother told him one day, he said, that's because he's not your dad. He was like, what you mean? And come to find out, they were saying that the guy Perry was his father. And they showed him walking like to this water or whatever. He was just standing there, and they were saying, look at him, like you're short. He was short. You're stout. You're stout. He was like, it's like your eyes, it's like he's looking at you, you looking at him, like y'all have the same eyes. And guys, when they showed that picture of that man Perry, and they showed that man, it do look just like him. It just looked like it would be Perry, but as an older man. And, you know, basically he can't help if that's his father or not. He said it just left him with a lot of questions, like, you know, if Perry is his father, which he think it is, and he do look like him, like, why would my dad do that? It just leave a lot of unanswered questions. And it just make you think, because they were saying that the guy Richard had started reading the Bible like some days before he was executed. And the thing that got me was how when they started interviewing them, of course you want to blame the other person. Oh, I didn't really want to do it, but the people want to start singing like a songbird then when there's trouble. Y'all need to own up to it, and then it make you wonder if they actually killed that other family or how many other people. Then they had called in this special prosecutor, I think it was a prosecutor or someone like that, who actually gave the ending statement for the family, and he was basically saying how these people was killed for $80, like $20 a person, because that's all the money the people got. You went there to get some money, and you didn't even get no money. You killed 4 people. Now look at you, your life ended. Like you needed money, and now your life over with. Now you want to read the Bible and this and that, and write letters and try to have it where you can't get where you know won't get the death penalty. But you didn't give them a choice. You didn't give them an option. You had, put it like this, you had a choice for your own life because you didn't have to kill those people. Now your life is in somebody else's hands to determine. They didn't like that feeling, just like they felt like them people's life hands was in for them, and it wasn't. That wasn't right. If you get a chance to read anything about the Clutter family murder or anything about that, comment down below and let me know. My thoughts goes out to all those affected. Even though that was in 1959, still my heart goes out to them people because that was just really, really sad and so uncalled for. Okay, guys, that's the end of this chat session. I enjoyed this, guys. And like I said, I know it's all over the place, but you know what? Y'all my chat partners. Y'all understand chat partners. So I'm getting ready to end this video. I'm tired. And I had me a little drink. It's time for me to rest. I'm wishing y'all out there a peace of mind, because what? A peace of mind is one of the greatest things in the world. Always remember that you guys are great. And as always, take care, stay safe, and be blessed.